Last year I reviewed a game called Yarntown on this channel, and it was a true 16-bit remake of Bloodborne. All the same enemies, scenery, bosses, and even the combat where you regained your health, they were all the same. It was honestly a great port of the game. However, it only went through the first two bosses in the game and then it stopped. I get it was just a fan-made game and it was just a taste of what it could be, but it was wonderful and it left me wanting more of this style of game. It wasn't long after that though, a game called Morbid was announced. Also a Soulsborne 16-bit game with pretty much all the same elements of Yarntown, except this time it was a full game. The game follows a heroine who is the last survivor of the Brahm, and she is attempting to defeat the Seven Acolytes who are possessed by evil demons known as Gahars. Most of the world is possessed by lower demons of the Gahars, so ordinary animals and plants are all deformed from the corruption and are all out to get you. The environment is constantly hostile, and honestly, a Soulsborne game shouldn't be any other way as you're searching this landscape for these Seven Acolytes. The story is unique to itself from the Soulsborne universe, even though the imagery is straight out of Bloodborne, with such things as corrupted villagers, giants with huge axes, plague dogs, resting at gravestones, crows, my gosh, there's a lot of crows, and even some of the bosses like this one that slings her placenta at you. Gross, but it is literally the exact same concept as the Orphan of Kos. Honestly, I think the whole idea is the enemies in general are deformed by the corruption of evil forces is enough to make everything look like it can be part of the Bloodborne lore. That being said, the imagery really walks a fine line between being a copy and being a homage, and there's arguments on each side of which this game falls on. Regardless though, the game has a great aesthetic and the 16-bit feel fits perfectly with the atmosphere that they're trying to create. The combat in this game is also very similar to any Soulsborne game. You get a few hits in, dodge enemy attacks, parry when you can, and just overall be very careful when attacking enemies. Because, true to the Soulsborne fashion, your character can only take a few hits at a time before dying. The combat leans more on the Bloodborne side than the Dark Souls because you have a gun and a melee weapon throughout the game. The gun is not a parrying tool like in Bloodborne though, but more of a tool to finish enemies off when you're low on health and you don't want to get back in there and take a chance on dying. Your melee weapon is definitely your main tool though for plowing through enemies, and there are plenty of unique ones to choose from as the game progresses. Some come with special powers like sending bramble branches throughout the landscape, while others focus on just close combat in general. Each weapon can be powered up though with different runes that you find throughout the game to keep it more relevant long term. Weapons themselves can't be leveled up, however, with being able to swap these runes back and forth, it nearly fills the same gap. You never actually level up in the game either, which is unique for the Soulsborne formula. However, you do gain skill points which can be used to buy blessings, which cause upgrades to your character to allow for more health, stamina, so forth and so on. It's a unique approach and you can swap back and forth between your upgrades depending on the area. I'm not going to say I like this better than traditional leveling up, but it's a fun approach. As you progress through the game, there are plenty of landscapes to keep the experience fresh. Occasionally the areas lean toward being too large and you can easily get lost from the lack of landmarks or distinctive areas. A map for these areas would be very helpful for this type of game. I know Soulsborne games never have maps, but they don't really need them because the areas are so distinctive. However, this game, it needs a mini-map. The items throughout the game also allow for small power-ups such as health, stamina, and attack boosts. However, health-wise, outside your replenishing mechanical heart, basically your blood vials, the health items are useless. Like this rotten plate of food here. You can eat it, but your health increases so incredibly slow afterwards that it serves almost no purpose at all. And I get it, you're eating a plate of rotten food. How fast would that actually replenish your health? But I mean, it's a game we're talking about. Other items do help you along your journey for stamina and stuff like that, but as important as health is, the lack of health items makes the journey just a little bit tougher as you're progressing. Overall, this is a very solid game. Perhaps it's because they stuck so close to that source material of Bloodborne and Dark Souls, and for some people that might be a problem because they just borrowed so much, but for me, I think it's a great mix of old and new, and honestly, it's a very fun and polished game. It took what I loved about Yarntown and expanded it to a full game and created a new story and world for us Soulsborne fans to explore. The game goes for $25 digitally, and I think it's worth every penny of that. But if it goes on sale, you definitely need to pick it up. But what are your thoughts on the game? Have you had a chance to try it yet? Did you think it was too close to Bloodborne, too close to Dark Souls, or do you think it paved its own way in its own adventure? Be sure to comment down below what you thought about it. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and as always, go out there, find a great game to play, and just simply have a great rest of the day.